this is Jen. In this video, we are looking at metaphor and some examples of metaphor in literature and how the metaphor is different from other related comparative devices like simile, metonymy, and synecdoche. There's lots of good stuff coming your way in this video, so make sure you stick around. Simply put, a metaphor is an implied comparison between two similar things. For instance, the phrase, "a roller coaster of emotions," is an example of metaphor, because the implied comparison is between the frantic up and down movement of the roller coaster and the similarly frantic fluctuations of one's emotions. Now, this is different from the simile, which is an explicit comparison between two similar things, usually indicated by the comparative structures something is like something else or something is as blah 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 as something else. So instead of the metaphor, "a roller coaster of emotions," a simile version would be, "her emotions are like a roller coaster." In the case of a simile then, the comparison is spelt out for the reader. Let's use examples from Macbeth to illustrate the difference between metaphor and simile. In Act 2, Scene 1, when Macbeth hallucinates the dagger before killing Duncan, he first uses a metaphor to compare the dagger's seeming advancement towards him with Tarquin's strides as he moves towards his rape of Lucrece. But he then uses a simile to compare the quietness of his strides to those of a ghost, as he says, "with Tarquin's ravishing strides towards his design moves like a ghost." Towards the end of the play, as he faces the prospect of death, Macbeth laments the meaninglessness of life when he exclaims, "Out, out, brief candle," where he is implicitly comparing the transience of life to the brevity of a candle flame. But what's the difference between metaphor and metonymy? So let's start by clarifying a basic concept. With metaphor, it's about how similar two things are. But with metonymy, it's about how closely related two things are. Whereas a metaphor makes an implied comparison between two references, metonymy uses a reference to stand in for that reference's related idea. So for example, if you were to compliment a girl for having beauty and brains, then brains would be a metonym for intelligence, because the brain is the thinking organ, and without thinking there can be no way to acquire knowledge, which is what intelligence is all about. An example of metonymy in Macbeth comes in Act 1, Scene 3, when Macbeth summons Ross, Angus and Banquo towards Duncan's palace after he hears the witch's prophecy. As he says, "Kind gentlemen, your pains are registered where every day I turn the leaf to read them." Now in the reference, "turn the leaf is a metonym for a page in a book. But Macbeth's overall statement is in fact a metaphor, as he compares the act of rereading a diary entry to reminding himself constantly of the favours from his men. And while we're on metonymy, a quick clarification on a related device, which is synecdoche. Now, synecdoche is actually a type of metonymy. Whereas metonymy refers to the use of a reference to stand in for a closely related idea, synecdoche is the use of a reference that is literally connected to a bigger idea to stand in for that very same idea. In essence, synecdoche is part for whole. And when we say that someone is wearing a nice pair of heels, we're really talking about their shoes, not just the heel of the shoe. So that's an example of synecdoche. In Macbeth, when the protagonist considers the implications of him pursuing Duncan's throne despite already being Thane of Cawdor, he conveys a sense of helplessness by saying that "the eye wink at the hand, yet let that be, which the eye fears when it is done to see." The eye in this case is a synecdoche for Macbeth himself, because it is of course Macbeth who fears what he's about to do. His eye per se has no agency. And there you go guys, I hope this video clarifies for you what metaphor means and how it's different from the simile, metonymy, and synecdoche. Please do hit the thumbs up button below and subscribe to my channel if you found this at all useful, and I massively appreciate it. Also make sure to check out my related videos and blog posts, which I will link to in the description box below. And I'll see you guys in the next video.